to open the Tuesday, April 2nd, 2019 Warrenton Board of Alderman meeting. If you would, please rise with us for a Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So next, I'd like to award a presentation for Mr. Costello. If you would step up here, please. Well, that's the truth. I'll stand on the side. So it says, for the City of Warrenton extends sincere appreciation to Gregory F. Costello for serving as Alderman Ward 1 from 2017 to 2019. Your genuine dedication and heartfelt service to the community have truly benefited the residents of for our city. Mayor Eric Schluter and the Warrenton Board of Aldermen, and I do appreciate it.
Hopefully this is the last one of these.
You gotta talk in the mic. You gotta talk in the mic. Melody's already got me.
It's a new mic.
I'd just like to say that it's been an honor and a privilege. The mayor asked me to fill in for Karen when she moved out of the community. It's a great board to work with. I think one of the best that I have ever had the privilege of working with. Very few egos. More interested in getting the job done. I want to thank Cheryl for filling in on my short notice departure. Appreciate you doing that, and I definitely want to congratulate the three aldermen who will be re-elected today, including Cheryl. So,
thank you.
It's been a great staff to work with. Terry's got a really good group. As I said in the resignation letter, I leave the city feeling like it couldn't be in better hands. From Melody, the board, and the mayor, it's a good group. Warrenton is headed in a really good direction. I can tell you that this 6,100-mile journey that Kathy and I went on, the three things I can bring back are solar energy, wind energy, and roundabouts. If I was to kind of summarize, it's amazing that states of Texas, Arizona, Colorado, and Florida are just booming, almost to the point of being out of control. So I don't think we want that here, but it is amazing to get out in the rest of the United States and see what's going on. So again, thank you very much.
Well, I will say, before that, I will say, I made a pretty good argument that your name shouldn't have been on that plaque. It should have been Kathy's name for loaning him to us.
You can change it.
Yeah, she probably had to put up with a lot more than what he did. So, thank you. Thank you, Kathy. Brandy, are you doing the introduction or someone else?
I will.
Okay.
I would like to introduce you John McAtee. I got it right. He is our new grounds maintenance full-time position. He'll be working a lot at our new park.
Welcome aboard, John. Welcome. Next will be the consent agenda.
We have the regular meeting minutes from March 19th.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items as submitted. So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Schultz, seconded by Alderman Deloy. Roll call vote.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Schultz,
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey,
Abstain.
Alderman Dyer,
Yes.
Alderman Ock,
Yes.
Alderman Miller.
Yes.
Motion passes with 5 to 0 with one abstaining. Yeah, no, I understand why. That's fine. Next, we'll hear from the public. We ask that you step to the podium, state your name. We can turn the mic around. I'm sorry about that. And state your business. You'll have 5 minutes to speak on that.
Pull that mic around.
Great, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Alderman. My name is Ruthie Jane, and this is my business partner, Tracy Livingston. We are together are Green Wellness Relief, a medical marijuana dispensary license applicant. We're residents of Innsbrook and want to make a difference for the health and well-being of the residents of Warren County. Our reasons for doing this stem mainly from watching family members suffer the consequences of pain and addiction. Here, I have a letter of intent to lease a small office on small South 1st Street. And here I have our application to the City of Warrenton for a business license, as you can see in front of you, the first page. Last week, Tracy and I submitted this business application to the city to hopefully make the deadline to go before planning and zoning in May. We were told that we would not be put on the agenda because this would require an ordinance change for our location, and that would not be considered by the city. We were shocked as we were dismissed, mainly because our elected officials didn't even get a chance to see the application, nor did we receive the courtesy of a written reply. So I come before you today with a 2-minute primer in Missouri medical marijuana dispensaries and what this can mean for the patients of Warren County. Our dispensary is not a head shop. We selected a location in downtown on Southeast 1st Street next to a chiropractor and massage therapist. They were thrilled to welcome us. We are a pharmacy. We will comply with the tight security and all the regulations that the state will put forth. We have gathered and hired the right team. Our license application is due August 4th, and we must have a site plan, a business license, and a business plan to send in prior to that time. We have no plans for advertising because only those residents who have visited their doctor to receive a referral for medical marijuana and then sent that card to the state with their $25 fee and received a card can enter our pharmacy. We have no reason to attract the general public. Our patients will find us. As you can see in your handout on page 2, Title 19, Section 4 of the Department of Health and Senior Services, Division 30, Chapter 95, the draft rules of the law read, unless allowed by the local government, no new dispensary shall be sited within 1,000 feet of any school, daycare, or church. We are asking the city to consider our location that we feel is located approximately 1,000 feet from Frieden's Church. That's the distance we calculated with Google Maps, but apparently this is open for interpretation. We were told we were about 700 feet, and therefore told we could not go before planning and zoning. Other cities in the state have acted to welcome medical marijuana to their area. The city of Brookfield, Missouri, and you have the ordinance, population 4,800, completely abolished the 1,000-foot rule. And Kirksville, population 17,000, has modified it also. Springfield just passed a site location of 200 feet and a 24/7 operation. I'm not familiar with your processes here, and quite honestly, you may not be able to respond to us as I've asked. But this is what we can do for Warrenton. In a nutshell, we expect to bring over 1,000 people per year to our dispensary. And the first year alone, we plan to contribute at least $75,000 in sales tax revenue. So we're here tonight with downtown Warrenton. They're excited about the possibility of our participation. As with everyone we've approached, they seem very positive about the things we can do for passionate care and at the same time, our city. Thank you very much for your time.
I'd like to add just a couple things to that. We are a female and veteran-owned organization, and we are also have in our business plan to have an on-staff registered nurse while we're working. That nurse that we've selected has a very long history of experience in the pain management realm within private practice in Webster Groves. So that nurse brings her experience of doctors prescribing opioids to patients and seeing those patients that come in that are not actually showing positive progress. Opioids, as you know, cause a lot of negative impact to your body if you're on them long term. Pain, additional prescriptions for depression, and a lot of internal problems with your digestive systems. So I just want you guys to understand that we're trying to bring something very helpful to the community, and we've really put a lot of thought into bringing the right people on the team so that we serve the community well. But thank you very much.
For comments back from the Alderman, I am going to remind everybody this is more about the site plan and what be it, rather than an argument or even contention over any type of pain management or what be it. That's not what we're here to discuss. We are to discuss the business.
Well, let me step in first, I guess. We had a work session meeting prior to this, and we discussed this issue. This issue had come up before in January in our planning sessions, and I think where the position of the city is now is that we've agreed in principle to eliminate the 1,000 feet to 100 feet. So that's a change we made. We've also talked about where we thought a location would not be appropriate. So the two things I think we have a consensus are that we didn't feel like it was appropriate to have a facility on the main drag, downtown Warrenton, and we didn't feel it was appropriate to have a facility that has Interstate 70 highway exposure for various reasons. So I think that's the consensus where we're at. And when we talked about, because the concern was about if we are slowing the process of delaying something because we know everybody, whether it's you or somebody else coming in, has to consider the time frame that the state set up. So I think we're at the position that we're going to draft up ordinances and pass ordinances that will allow an application to be submitted and those things to go on. The only cautionary thing is if you or anybody else comes with an application with a proposed site that is on Highway 40, on Highway 70 exposure, or is on Main Street, that probably will not be considered. But we've changed, I think, in principle where we're at on this, and we're willing to move forward with ordinance to allow an application to be made even prior to the ordinance being done. Councilor, is that a fair statement?
Well, with regards, obviously, is that coming up? There we go. With regards to Main Street, obviously, that was an area that will be excluded from, which is where you guys wanted to go, is the Main Street area. We have an overlay district on Main Street that would, that was what we talked about. We'll draft up an ordinance on it.
You're on the side street.
You're on the side street.
All right,
Yeah,
okay.
side street.
Okay, Southeast Street, so then that would probably be a possible location. But yes, that's correct. The only thing I want to caution everybody, and I spoke with Tony Gagliano, who is also an owner of a dispensary, is that until you guys are operational, you're not entitled to the use. It's not a vested use. So even though this is a regulation, we want to be as upfront about it, just cautioning you guys, even if you have a business license, if they change the regulations, that could eliminate your right to operate in that area, in that location. Now, I don't anticipate it. That's why we had the workshop to discuss it, but that is correct, Alderman.
Yeah, so, but the consensus of the board right now, and it's a consensus, is the 100 feet. And as long as it's not on Main Street itself, it could be on a side street. I think the board is in principle agreed that that's what we're going to instruct the councilor to move forward with in draft ordinance, and we will approve that at some time in the future. But that doesn't prohibit you from applying and starting the process prior to that ordinance being in place.
Step to the podium, please.
The application that we submitted, will that be sent on to the appropriate channels, or do we have to do something else?
We have to reduce, we will have to at least get the ordinances reduced, okay? So your application, it was completely appropriate to be rejected because you fall within the 1,000-foot. And to amend the 100, or the 1,000-foot requirement, it does require a text amendment. We can accept your application, but there will be no movement on it just as long as you understand that until these ordinances are in place.
But the ordinance to reduce the 100 feet, I mean, that's a text thing, which could be done in a meeting or two. That's not going to delay the process of appearing before.
Planning and zoning, because it is a zoning restriction. It will have to go to planning and zoning, so it will be a little bit longer than that.
But could they come to the same P&Z meeting as where the text discussion is?
Probably not, Alderman Ock, because until it's approved by the board and passed as an ordinance, planning and zoning can't consider it. But you know, we can work with you guys to give you the information and keep you updated of what our process is.
But realistically, in a time frame, if the text thing is considered at the next available meeting, then the following meeting, assuming the board passes it, there's still time to get on the agenda for P&Z and get that approved prior to the state deadline.
Yeah, absolutely. For the August deadline, absolutely.
So when I submitted the paperwork last week, we were shooting for the May 2nd P&Z meeting.
That can't happen because the law right now is 1,000 feet, which takes you out of that range. So you're not going to be able to be on the May.
But you could be on the May
June.
2nd.
We could be on the June.
The second meeting in June.
Okay. I appreciate, yeah.
Delays it by a little bit is what he's trying to say.
Right, yeah.
By about a month.
And as you guys know, we're reading these regulations as they're coming down every day, just like you guys are, to see what the state is actually doing. It's a very unusual process, so we are trying to keep the board up to date, and we've been talking about this for a long time of what we wanted to do, and that's part of what we've been discussing as well.
You will stick with it. We want to be in the downtown area of Warrenton. We feel we have a good location, a very nice location, and we feel very well received. We are talking with other cities that seem to be able to work in a more proactive manner than what we've received so far, but we will definitely keep this going.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be comments from the Board of Aldermen. Let's move on to the update from the Warrenton Downtown Association. I'm not sure who's here. I believe Ms. Burke and Ms. Blondin and Mr. Turkin.
Hello,
Hi.
Stacy Blondin with Warrenton Downtown Association.
So we had our so several months ago, we received a grant from the Missouri Main Street Association. We had a town hall meeting. It was very, very well received. We had well over 50 people attend. It was at the high school auditorium. It was very well received. So we have our next steps to go with getting volunteers to join for the next steps for the that Missouri Main Street is expecting us to do. The next few months, though, we have a lot of stuff to do. June 15th, we are resurrecting the Fruling Fest that happened back in the early to mid-70s. And so we already have acquired a German band that will play on Main Street. We're going to have vendors that will supply German food. One side of the street is going to be antique tractors. The other side of the street is going to be antique cars with vendors interspersed in between them. The one thing I would like to ask all of you is if you would be willing to dress up in German attire, lederhosen and German hats, and go down Main Street and welcome the public. Okay?
What's the date of this?
June 15th.
I'm out of town.
No, there is no excuses here. It's from 4 to 7. And that kind of, what that does is also shows that the city and the Downtown Association is very well connected, and
Actually get to come out of the
you
house.
probably look really good in lederhosen.
German attire.
Yeah.
Does Brenda's have enough outfits to fit us all?
I think we could find it. June 15th. It's a Saturday.
The mere
4 to
fact that these two jumped on it so soon means they closet lady do that at their house.
Yes.
And they probably do their little German dances, so I'm sure they're geared.
If you provide a stein of beer, then maybe we can consider it.
Well, I've already, from my 2 beer distributors, I will already have 10 different German style beers on tap. In addition to other ones.
Having a 5K that morning where we're going to encourage the participants to dress up in German attire for the race. So we'll start that at 8 o'clock. So you won't be alone.
I will be if I'm wearing later on doing the 5K. I guarantee you I'll be alone and in the hospital afterwards.
So some of our next steps that we're going to be doing is we have a lot of groundwork to do based on this grant. We're going to take inventory of the entire downtown district. So a downtown district isn't just Main Street. It is all the surrounding streets, and take an inventory of vacant buildings, and one of our ideas, and we actually are putting that in place, is putting it on our website and our Facebook, is vacant buildings that are up for sale, and try to attract other businesses to come down. Okay. We also want to visit all the businesses on Main Street and the surrounding streets, invite them to be participants in the Downtown Association. And did I miss anything?
This is a list of the wildly important things that came up out of that town hall meeting, and I'm just going to rattle them off. The whole idea of the Missouri Main Street Connection is to work under 4 points: organization, design, economic vitality, and promotion. Under organization, they came up with communication, creating a website and a domain. We've got Dorian back here working on that for us. Recruitment of volunteers and partners, we're actively doing that. Identify and collaborate with other organizations, the city, the chamber, the Rotary. Rip off and duplicate ideas from other main streets, which we've been visiting. Marketing the plan, directory of businesses and vacancies, so we can begin filling these locations down here. Under design, they came up with a greenery pocket park, and I'm hoping the city can help us think about that and where we might be able to tuck a pocket park or two. Branding of downtown, so we want to make sure that Main Street and Warrenton are branded in the same way so that we are promoting the same location. Brighter lights came up again. Signage and awnings, or as Gary and I talked about, having a rendering of the downtown area made so that we have an idea of what it might look like. Economic vitality was cleanup, restoration of the historic character, which we actively have the Historical Society working on, finding out what all the buildings were and creating a history of each building that can possibly put on a plaque on each of these buildings. Create awareness of the downtown, market the empty buildings, create marketing packets and recruitment guides so that when people are interested down here, we've got a building and we know that it can be used for this. Upscale bars and restaurants. Promotion is branding,
beautification, events to promote downtown, so the Fruling Fest and our hometown Christmas and our Halloween, and the Fall Festival. I mean, we're in this together. The music festival with food and alcohol and music, and to create more gathering places down here, which were not just the idea of having multiple restaurants and bars, but also having the green spaces where people could stop and rest. If we start bringing it down, then we're going to have more people wanting to be down in this area and promote it. That's our idea, actually, the downtown. And then this is an actual listing from this Missouri Main Street connection with timeline. We'll make sure that you all get a copy of this. We're going to hand this to you, but we'll email you a copy of it so you can disperse it. So we're working. You just aren't seeing us right now. Me.
We're too busy. But I think that was it. I can't read today, so Bob and Cindy were.
I just have one comment. I'd like to move as expeditiously as we can forward to get a rendering of the downtown, and that's not to change the structure of the buildings, but it's just to enhance the buildings that are there. They've done that at other cities that they work with, and it's astounding how much difference it makes.
Part of one of the things on your plan.
I'd like to see vision of
I want to actually thank you guys for sending Neil to our meetings and being a liaison between the city and the Downtown Association. It means a lot to us. I think we've spoken before that going to these off-site or other city conferences we've been going to, it's very important that someone from the city attend, because a lot of the things that need to be done, the city's where it has to happen. We're pretty much helpless in enforcing ordinances or a lot of the things that they're saying when we're looking at it. The last conference that Stacy and Ellie went to was in Excelsior Springs, which is one of the cities that's been through this program, as well as Cape Girardeau, who's been in it for 20 years, and Washington, who's been in it for 30 years. So those are cities that we're all aware of that have gone through this Missouri Main Street process, and you can see a big improvement in those cities. The conference you went to was to entice entrepreneurs to the downtown district. So we're working on it, and we are grateful for your partnership. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other comments? No. All right, thank you. Next, we'll hear from City Administrator Terry Thorne.
My first item for you this evening is to talk about an ordinance that's on for later on for your approval, and it is granting the right-of-way easements. Thank you. It grants the easements and right-of-ways to MoDOT out at the new interchange. There are actually a number of areas. I think there's 12 altogether, some of them very small, some of them larger, but it starts that process of actually finalizing the project out there. So this ordinance grants the pieces that we need to move over to MoDOT. You will see probably in a few weeks the granting by MoDOT of the Outer Road Veterans Memorial. If you recall, part of our agreement was that the city will take over Veterans Memorial to Highway 47, and will also take MM from just at the area of the new roundabout to the downtown area. So once we get our pieces accomplished, my next item will actually have the engineering contract for them to do the work that's required for MoDOT to turn those pieces over to us. Questions on this? My next item is the request for approval of an agreement with CMT, who's been our engineers on this interchange project now since the inception. They are required by MoDOT to provide boundary surveys and the legal deeds and documents for them to turn those pieces over to the city. This is not something we originally planned for in their construction agreement for the interchange. So I'm asking for your approval of $54,060 as an addition to the CMT engineering contract to complete all of the work that's necessary that MoDOT is requiring in order to be able to turn those pieces over to the city.
Any questions, comments on that? I'll entertain a motion to approve the CMT engineering contract supplemental for row in the amount of $54,060.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Dyer, seconded by Alderman Shell Harvey. Roll call vote.
Alderman Schultz?
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey?
Yes.
Alderman Dyer?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy.
Yes.
Passes 6-0.
Our next item is just to let you know, in your packet, you had a timeline for implementation of the occupancy permits that we've been speaking about. It's coming up very quickly with trying to get documents completed and into their final draft form. My question for you this evening is on an April 30th work session. I feel like it's really important once we get the documents finalized that we sit and discuss how that's going to roll out, what it really means, the final checklist, all of those things, before we actually roll that out to the public. So I'd like to check your schedules and see if April 30th works for a work session for all of you.
I'm okay. Works for me.
I'm good. What time?
Do you want to do 5?
Alderman Schultz, do we want to do 5? I know it's tough on you sometimes. Okay.
We can do 6. That's
No, I think it's fair. I mean, if it's tough
It's not
to
a
do, let's
problem.
do 6.
6.
6.
Everybody good with that? April 30th, 6 p.m. Okay. And then the other question is, we feel like it's really important to host a town hall meeting to invite all of the rental property owners and residents, as well as anyone else who might be interested to get their questions answered here at City Hall. And we'd like to do that sometime the week of June 10th. But I believe we already have a work session on June 11th. That's a budget work session that's already scheduled. So some other evening that week that would work for all of you, we'd like to go ahead and get that scheduled so we can start publicizing that.
Anytime, anywhere.
Thank you.
June 10th at 5 p.m. again? Is that what you're looking at?
Any time that week other than the 11th, because we already have a work session. I don't think it matters what day, as long as it's not the 11th.
Back to that.
Okay, June 10th it is, at 6 p.m. And then the plan is to begin the first occupancy inspections August 1st. So staff is working right now on getting all of the components of this together, everything that we'll need to change in code, as well as the checklists and descriptions of what will be inspected to go out to property owners. Questions? All right. The only other thing I have for you is just to let you know that I believe we have found a solution to the truck parking issue out at the new interchange. We're working with MoDOT. One of their traffic engineers we've been in contact with. Once the interchange is formally turned over to MoDOT, they have agreed to put up signs, and our counselor tells us that we cannot prohibit it until those signs are in place. So once the interchange is fully turned over to MoDOT, then we will put no parking signs on the ramps and on Veterans Memorial between the two roundabouts on the south side. So we will then ask our police department to strongly enforce the no parking with trucks out there.
Questions or comments on that?
I have, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Director of Operations, Brandy Walters.
The only thing that I have for you tonight is my administrative monthly report. We did have 2 accidents last month. One was damaged from a car backing into another car, but no injuries. And another one was a deer that was in the road. No damage whatsoever on that one, so there was no claim. We're doing some interviews because we have some positions open currently. The only other training that we did outside of our safety training was we had an active killer training that we had here in City Hall for all employees. By the way. And then I wanted to let you know that all the newsletters have gone out. Hopefully you guys have gotten them. If not,
Oh, I thought they were good, extremely informative about the city. I don't know what else you could say that wasn't in the newsletter. It was really, really good. Even for me, it was a good read. I've been around a long time, but there's a lot of information in there.
that's
That was
great.
great.
That's what we like.
Yep.
That's all that I have.
You go back to Terry for a second.
Sure.
We made that change in the policy about groups using the pool at the last meeting. Have we got any feedback on that, or is it all quiet?
It's been quiet.
Okay. I was
I've not
curious.
heard anything.
Okay. But the word got out, basically. Okay.
Chief phone calls on that?
No, I haven't. So.
Oh, I had.
Oh, have you? Okay. So it was probably less than satisfactory answer based on how you.
No, it was just, it was handled.
Okay.
It was just a question of why it took so long, and they were advised why.
Because we're in government, that's why it takes so long.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Finance Officer Dana Velasca.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. You have before you a list of claims to be approved for this evening for disbursement of funds. So claims totaling $247,569.02. 247,000, excuse me.
Right.
569.02. So were there any questions regarding those list of claims to be paid?
Dana, the one on the first page, I guess it is, it's BOKFNA,
Certainly.
$78,911. Can you tell me what that is?
Sure. That's our debt service payment, on the aquatic center. So it would be an interest-only payment at that point.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the accounts payable in the amount of $247,569.02.
So move.
Motion made by Alderman Miller, seconded by Alderman Dyer. Roll call vote.
Al Harvey,
Yes.
Alderman Dyer,
Yes.
Alderman Ock,
Yes.
Alderman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Schultz.
Yes. Motion passes 6-0.
The next item on your agenda is financials for the month of February. So you have financials by fund in front of you. So I'll just touch on some highlights and answer any questions. So in the general fund, revenues are about 40,000 above budget. So kind of a mixture there. Sales tax are a little bit low. Again, we're waiting on an adjustment from the state. Pool revenues are about 100,000 below budget as we start our first year and try and figure out the operations there. Then we have police fines that are running about 66,000 above budget. So a total general fund revenue about 40,000 above budget. Operating expenses for the general fund are 436,000 below budget. So about half of that is related to personnel costs, so again, vacancies and things like that. The others are supplies and maintenance types accounts, again, that we expect to spend the funds. You'll see that capital in that fund is also a little below budget, again, just a timing issue there. In the water and sewer fund, revenues are about 65,000 above budget. A mixture, residential is water and sewer revenue is running a little bit above budget, while some of the industrial sewer is just a little bit below budget. Operating expenses in the water and sewer fund, 196,000 below budget, and again, primarily related to personnel costs being under budget. Again, there you have maintenance and supply accounts. And then capital and water sewer. Again, we have the larger project that we're just in the engineering phase of. In the capital sales tax fund, revenue seems to be about in line. Again, that's the fund that still has monies in it for the finishing of the park pool project. So right at this point, we anticipate that we're going to with spending those funds. Are there any questions regarding the financial statements for the month of February?
Dana, on the capital sales tax, the Aquatic Center Pool Park project is almost complete. We anticipate spending the remaining budgeted funds fiscal year 19. Do you know approximately what that number is?
There is a significant amount of money still in the fund, probably pushing almost $1 million. Again, we have some funds for the construction company that the balance has not been paid out yet, a couple $100,000 there. We have some other aspects of it, other equipment and improvements to the park that are still going to be finished up as soon as the weather allows.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Dana. Next, we'll hear from the Chief of Police, Larry Ellard.
Good evening. I just have two items for you. Both are policy approvals. The first, employee grievances, simply mirrors the city's existing citywide grievance. And the second, description of organization, is just a breakdown of our boundaries, the structure of the department, our goals and objectives, so on and so forth.
Any questions on either one of those two? I'll entertain a motion to approve the following employee grievances and description of organization policies.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Ock, seconded by Alderman Shell Harvey. Roll call vote.
Alderman Dyer?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Yes.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
I have.
Thank you. Next are the bills to ordinance. I'll entertain a motion for the first reading of bill number 14-19.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Alderman Deloy, seconded by Alderman Schultz.
Ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a general warranty deed between the City of Warrenton, Missouri and Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for tracts of land at the newly constructed interchange.
I'll entertain a motion for the second reading and passage of bill number 14-19.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Miller, seconded by Alderman Dyer.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a general warranty deed between the City of Warrenton, Missouri and Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission for tracts of land and at the newly constructed interchange.
Roll call vote.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Schultz?
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey?
Yes.
Alderman Dyer?
Yes.
Bill passes 6-0. I'll entertain a motion to close the regular Board of Alderman meeting and go into executive session for legal counsel and real estate.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Shell Harvey, seconded by Alderman Ock. Roll call vote.
Alderman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Schultz?
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey?
Yes.
Alderman Dyer?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. We are so adjourned. Thank you, folks.